That's just the way it is. It's sad, but the majority of people, especially in these countries, are encouraged not to read. So if you're reading day in, day out on a daily basis, your mind will become so sharp in a particular way that you'll create opportunities for yourself, that you'll find jobs. That I'm not saying it's just read for reading's sake. I'm saying it because I know in my own life that if you are educated to a certain level, you can move in certain circles, and it don't even matter if you got a picky head. You know what I mean? Because from what comes out of your mouth is of a certain level.
Yeah.
People might have a preconception of you. You know, I've consulted for, you know, loads of different institutions in this country, and I've walked in hoodie on. You know, when my hair's natty, you know, I ain't even combed it. I do it deliberately sometimes. I ain't shaved nothing. Because it's important for people to see that I might walk in a room and they'll have a preconception. My mouth opens and I can sometimes see on people's face, like, and I don't speak with a different accent. I don't start trying to speak posh. Yeah. It's just that I have a very wide vocabulary, you know, and I know about a range of different things. And so therefore, when I start to speak now, it forces people, however I'm dressed. Same with when the police pull me over. At first, they pull me over, right? And they think, what's any black youth, he drives a Mercedes, he must be a drug dealer, I'm gonna pull him over. They pull me over and they ask me what I do for a living, and just to be funny, I'll say things to them like, I teach quantum particle theory at Brunel University. Dead face, like, I'll just say it straight. I'll be like...
You shocked them, yeah, they're like...
No, because when I said I run an education company before, I said I run an education company teaching Shakespeare, which is true. Yeah. They didn't believe me, so I thought I'd just push their boat out even further and be outlandish with it. And my point is, immediately it makes them look at me different.
Yeah, exactly.
They think, but what if he's telling the truth? Now what if we mess with this brother and he really is a professor, right? Yeah. And it gets in the... So all of a sudden now this whole thing, they don't even know... They don't know what quantum particle theory is, right?
Yeah.
They don't know what it is. So in their head they're thinking, for him to... The power now associated with that, just because you even know those words now, it puts a whole different feeling in. I'm not saying it's impossible for me to get assaulted by the police or whatever else because of that. I'm not saying that. You know, some people are reckless. I'm saying that it makes people think twice. Yeah. Whereas if I get out and rail up and start cuss by the word or whatever else, that will just make them think he's another ignorant black youth, whatever, we'll do what we want. He obviously doesn't know. Whereas if you're like, you can shock people. So education ain't just for education's sake. It has practical application in your life, and I think sometimes there can be a stigma like we've made it so conscious artists are uncool, and that's because some conscious artists, the music is fucking boring. You know?
But you know you're cool though, right?
Yeah, but the point is we've got to make it. We've got to make it. I grew up around a bag of militant rastas. You understand? I grew up around my godfather and certain men, and you looked at them, you wanted to be like them. I mean, these are black men in the 70s, so they could all fight, all martial artists, all. Man, you wanted to be like, all reasoning, day in, day out. They're in the scriptures or they're in Garvey's texts or anything. So I was exposed to that from young, and I never grew up with this idea that being smart belonged to someone else. And I feel like as elders now, you know, I'm 28, right? So I'm an elder to a lot of these young teenage boys or boys in their early 20s. We have a responsibility to bring that back, and I see it happening. It's not like it's not happening. I see brothers like Jaja, like Swiss, you know, understand, spreading a certain amount of knowledge and not being apologetic about it. It doesn't mean if you trouble me, I won't defend myself. Of course I will. Exactly. I'm not going in like I'm Superman. I'm not Superman, but I'm not a prick neither. And I'm not telling you to be. I'm saying knowledge is a weapon and we need to learn to use it.
Exactly. I hear that completely. Just to finish up, right, you know, going back to my question, obviously we all know the reason why I asked you, because that's why you're so inspirational, because you got so much knowledge. You blessed us with a lot of your knowledge already, which I'm sure everybody...
Well, it's not mine, it's stuff I've learned from other people.
Yeah, stuff you're inspired by, I know that. But I just wanted to like finish off by asking you, like, what future strategies could be implemented by communities and government bodies in order to prevent such events repeating themselves, like the riots and a lot of things that, you know, young people go out and do?
Well, we're missing the point, I think, a little bit though in the question, in the sense that we also need to ask about preventing the kind of events where young boys get their heads blown off by the police, and then the country gets told that the young man was in possession of a firearm, and it turns out that he wasn't, right? We need to ask about preventing a long history of police brutality towards poor people generally, but towards poor black people, particularly black and Asian people. But to poor, let's not pretend it's only black, because you get this sometimes, it's only black people. No, it's not. Poor white people die in police custody too. Don't believe the hype. Rich people are the only
Don't believe the hype. Listen,
rich people are the only people that don't die in police custody. That said, that doesn't mean we ignore the racial factor, because it is disproportionately African Caribbean people and Asian people, but disproportionately African Caribbeans particularly dying in police custody. We have to ask ourselves why that is, you know. So let's not ignore what was at the root of last year's events just because some people used what was at the root. And I'm not talking about the initial issues in Tottenham, I'm talking about what went on for the week after that. Some people who weren't connected to the issue ran with it and all were encouraged to run with it.
Yeah,
let's not obscure that there is people. My grandmother doesn't like police. My grandmother is the most law-abiding, church-going, conservative Jamaican you've ever met in your life, right?
Yeah.
Why doesn't my grandmother like police? Because she knows what her relationship with a racist British police establishment in this country is.
It goes way back.
Right.
It's not just about what's happening now.
Right.
It goes way back.
When our grandparents came from the Caribbean, if you had a criminal record, you couldn't get in the country. So 100% of the people that came from the Caribbean were not criminals, right?
Yeah.
87% of the men, and it's a similar percentage for the women, I think it might have been even 89%, had a skill or a trade or a qualification. You can check this out in a book called Stay in Power by Peter Fryer, right? So we're talking about skilled people that came to the country, qualified people who came to help rebuild the country after it had been bombed. Let's be clear, that's the context in which the Windrush, because there was black and Asian people in Britain for hundreds of years before that as well. We never talk about that, we started in the 50s. But dealing with just our grandparents and that narrative, that's who came. And they were treated a particular way. And the police establishment was part of that. So the frustrations that exist in our community towards the police today are part of this ongoing narrative. So when we talk about preventing those kind of things, it's equally a responsibility of the society to address the police, which I don't think the society will do. It's our responsibility then, as communities affected by it, to organise ourselves, to create positive self-image for our young people. You know, to turn off the MTV and get them in books, to give them a reason to come to community events and cultural events, to provide job opportunities. You know, it's not going to be overnight easy things, but study movements of what other groups of people like that have done.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I ain't got no answer to tell people, right, this is exactly, I'm not, you know, I'm not in charge, I'm not the leader. What I'm saying is it's for each community, and it's this happening, you know. I go to Saturday schools that I never see on British TV. I went to African Caribbean Saturday school as a kid, right? I've spoke at black Saturday schools, and we're talking particularly now African Caribbean, in East London, in Tottenham, up here in Birmingham, in Harlesden. No one ever shows that on TV, that there's whole sets of parents in these communities that are so frustrated with the level of education that their kids are receiving. Yeah. They've set up schools on a Saturday, completely separate, to send their kids back to school, right? And so the community is doing it. Let's not pretend that's not happening.
We're trying.
We need to do it on a larger level and make it more widespread and more cool. And we need to, the violence that we have amongst our young people, that's the biggest barrier, right?
That's right, yeah.
That's the biggest barrier, because we can't have our cake and eat it. We can't go crazy when the police kill one of us, and then when one of us kill one of us, say, yeah, my bad man, the real team style. You know what I mean? And not that you always do it in a Jamaican accent. What I'm saying is like, there's a certain, we've internalized a certain fake image that isn't even a real image. It's not. You go to Jamaica and 99% of the country, you know, doesn't, number one, talk like how we think they speak, and it's a very conservative country. People don't realise that here. But we've taken almost this Hollywood image of the Jamaican bad man and pretended it's something real. If you're so bad, then why not fight against the system oppressing you? But from what I understand, in, like, let's say Jamaica particularly, they have a long history of resisting transatlantic slavery, of killing their slave masters, of legitimate and very courageous rebellion, same in Haiti, same in loads of other places, right? So, to me, we can't go mad when the police kill somebody and then give a man props when he kills someone over bullshit. You understand? So we have to rid ourselves of this mentality that it's cool. And let's be frank, you know. Yes, again, violence exists in every community. You know, they try and make it like it's again only young black kids. You go to East Glasgow, no. Go to Queen's Crescent in London. So this is a poor thing where even poor young white kids, even predominantly white areas, are beating the shit out of each other, stabbing each other day in, day out. But why are they encouraged to do that? Now, if they were going to Hampstead or to Knightsbridge and troubling rich people, you can guarantee they'll be on the 7 o'clock news and it'll be abhorrent. Whereas when poor people beat each other up, it's cool. Or when young black boys shoot each other, it makes entertaining films. But if we want to make films about what the police have done to us historically, no one isn't going to be entertained by it. If we want to make films about what the racist state's done to us, or the New Cross fire, where 14 young black teenagers were burnt to death in 1981, no one won't find that film entertaining. But if I say, yo, blood in it, fam, you get me, yeah, and I shoot man, and I stab man, and I kill man, yeah, because I'm a bad man. That's a great film, everyone's cool with that. And we're even addicted to it, where we think the image of us brutalising each other, and I'm speaking now specifically about young black people, is so acceptable and so entertaining that we don't realise the insanity of it sometimes. I'll tell you what I mean.
It's mad.
I'll give you a specific example, right?
Yeah.
Before we round up, it's like, I'll be in workshops, and I don't cuss no one, because I used to use the word nigger all the time in my lyrics, right?
Yeah.
what I do now is I pose questions. So I'll be in a workshop, and a whole group of young black boys from wherever they're from. Like in this particular instance, I'm thinking of, it was a group of young boys from Hackney, right? And they start writing the lyrics, blah blah blah, nigga this, nigga that, kill, 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 kill. I said, okay, let me put it to you like this. My mother's as white as my dad is black. That is a fact. If I start making songs tomorrow saying I kill honkies and crackers, do you think anyone... You laugh, because it's so stupid. You're laughing, right? Because it's so stupid, and this is my point. And they was like, nah, bro, you can't do that, that's racist. I said, so, repeat that for me. And every single one of them, it's not like any one of them had any hesitation.
Yeah.
So when black people try to justify it to me, I'm not knocking it, because I grew up loving a lot of this music. Yeah. But in reality, it's suicidal things we're saying, right? And we don't want to acknowledge it. But in the moment someone who's of mixed heritage says, okay then, why don't I be just as racist towards my white heritage as we are encouraged to be towards our black heritage?
Yeah.
Everyone says, no, that's racist, or you burst out laughing because it's so ridiculous.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's an issue here where the celebration of black death, you know, it was not no joke. In America, black America has been at civil war with itself for 30 years. Yeah. You know, like Kanye said in that song Murder to Excellence, 314 soldiers died in Iraq, 509 died in Chicago. And his point is valid. It's more likely for black men to be killed in America by other black men than it is for soldiers serving in any war America has been at overseas. So the idea that kill nigga is some light entertainment, we're talking about a genocide in America, and people think that it's entertaining. And to me it says a lot that young black kids think it's entertaining, but it also says a lot that young white kids think it's perfectly acceptable and entertaining, or kids of other ethnicities. Because I know, as someone who's of mixed heritage, if I was rapping about murdering the other side of my heritage, everyone, black, white, and everything in between would say, Akala's mad, he's a racist, he's lost his mind, he's crazy, right? So to me, I'm not saying we don't document what's going on in the hood, but I'm saying there's a fine balance between celebration of death and documenting your reality. And so I feel like the music's been a powerful tool in that, and we need to have some self-respect and some balls, you know what I mean? And then just say, nah, actually, I don't rate that, I'm not tolerating that. And I feel like a lot of the young MCs who have influence, if the scene starts to move in a particular direction, what could be more powerful than getting a man who's got that influence, who's got all the young youths who want to be bad listening to him, saying, actually, you know what, man, I thought about this and that, and you know, that's what Malcolm's story was, right? And that's what made his story such a inspiring story, was that you have a road man, he's been through this, he's been through that, and he comes out the other end like a political scientist, a professor. This is a man who's done, right? Yeah. And so to me, I would love to see more of that being encouraged and rewarded in the community, because that's the bottom line. People want to feel valued. And if people feel valued for going out and killing other people that look like them, sadly, human psychology, that's going to happen. What if we start placing value or identity on knowing your history? It's not saying, yo, you're not real, you don't even know your history, you're an idiot. Exactly. Imagine that becomes the stigma, whereas now the stigma is you ain't got the new Jordans. Imagine the stigma is, you don't even read. It's so you're a waste, man, you don't even read. But I'm saying when I was growing up, that's what I saw. I saw a bunch of elder militant black scholars particularly, you know, my uncles, etc. And that was the narrative. It was like, who was the cleverest? And these were men you wanted to be like. They were physical dudes. And so if we can bring that back, where people start running you if you don't know certain things overnight, where women find attractive, you know, which they do. Let's not act like it's hard to get girls if you're clever, because it's clearly not. What I'm saying is, right? If that becomes what's the fashionable thing, we'll change this country and change the world. How they keep us.
That is what we're on.
That's how they keep us, by making us think stupidity is cool, you know what I mean?
And we can send that message through music, right?
Through music, through art, through video,
through drama,
through everything we do, you know? Through drama, it's not, knowledge is power, is the bottom line.
Remember that.
Absolute power corrupts, absolutely, but absolute powerlessness does the same. It's not the poverty, it's the inequality we live with every day that will turn us insane.